Good morning, Birmingham Unitarian Church. Good morning. Welcome to all, whether you're here with us for the first time or have been here many times before. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary or remotely via Zoom or watching this recording later, it's good to connect with you. Today, children will be with us in the sanctuary to hear a story before heading to their activities of the morning. We have a family room in the back of the sanctuary to the left, and there's audio of the service piped in for parents and children who may need to go in there. And care is also available in the nursery on our lower level for infants and children through age 5. By greeting our virtual neighbors, we build a bridge between our online and our in-person participants. First, we'll project on our screen the image of folks who are joining us on Zoom today. And if you're comfortable doing so, please turn on your cameras and give us a wave. Now, we who are gathered in the sanctuary are invited to turn and face the camera in the back and give the folks on Zoom a wave. If you're here with us in person today, we invite you to join us after service for coffee and conversation in Hodis Hall, which is located to the left after you exit the sanctuary. Today, we are also having our monthly celebration of birthdays. So if your birthday is in February and you would like to be recognized, please join us at the podium for that during coffee hour. Our newcomer table is a place where visitors and newcomers can meet and chat with members of the congregation and with each other. And all are encouraged to drop by that table. Just look for the colorful sign. And if you're with us on Zoom, you can stay on the call for a virtual coffee hour right after service ends. Whenever, however, and wherever we connect with BUC, we are building this beloved community.
We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together matters. We light the chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to sing hymn number 1023, so this will be in the teal one, Building Bridges. And I so love the attribution of the words, which are to the women of the Greenham Common Peace Occupation in England, 1983. So please rise and we will sing this one together. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
The Racial Justice Committee is honored to share our learning and spirit with this beloved community this morning. We recognize that the pursuit of justice is a difficult and often painful journey. Incarceration deeply affects individuals, families, and communities, and the process requires support for everyone. Today, we open our hearts and our minds to a restorative vision as we welcome our guest, Lauren Thomas, from the Detroit Justice Center.
Today's story is called Visiting Day. It's authored by Jacqueline Woodson and illustrated by James Ransom. Only on visiting day is there chicken frying in the kitchen at 6 a.m. and Grandma humming soft and low, smiling her secret just for Daddy and me smile. And it's me lying in bed, smiling my just for Grandma and Daddy smile. And maybe Daddy is up, brushing his teeth, combing his hair back and saying, "Yeah, that pretty little girl of mine is coming today," with all the men around him kind of looking on jealous-like, 'cause they wish they had a little girl coming to see them today. Only on visiting day does Mrs. Tate come over, heavy with presents for her son Thomas, and she will say, "Can you please take these with you?" And Grandma takes the presents from Mrs. Tate's arms. And she shoots me a look that says, "You better not make a sound about Mrs. Tate not having enough money to take the bus up there to see her only son." And I sit quiet and respectful. Now, only on visiting day do I stand patiently at the bus stop, holding tight to Grandma's hand until everybody's inside the bus. And we're all passing fried chicken and cornbread and thick slices of sweet potato pie until maybe we think we're about to pop. But instead, I go to sleep. And I don't wake up again until that bus pulls up in front of that big old building where, as Grandma puts it, Daddy's doing a little time. And only on visiting day do I get to tell Daddy everything that's happened this month. And I sit in his lap, and he pulls on my braids, and he smiles his big, "Me and Grandma have been gone forever" smile, laughing his big laugh, showing me and Grandma off to all his friends, pressing peppermints into my hand and kisses on Grandma's cheeks. Grandma says it's not going to be like this forever. She says one day we'll be able to wake up and have Daddy right there in our house again. And we won't have to take those long bus rides every month and walk home from the bus stop hand in hand, feeling a little sad, already starting to miss Daddy. Grandma says all it takes is time, a little time. And while we're holding out waiting for Daddy to come home, we can count our blessings and love each other and make biscuits and cakes and pretty pictures to send Daddy. And in the early evening, if it's a little chilly outside, we can sit out back, bundled up in blankets, and we make each other laugh as we make big plans for when Daddy comes home again.
Now, children and facilitators may gather at the back of the sanctuary to head to their activities.
The recipient of our plate sharing in February is Voters Not Politicians, a nonpartisan advocacy organization that works to effect structural and systemic democracy reform through the engagement of everyday citizens in Michigan. Their people-powered movement started when a small group of everyday Michiganders decided to take on the biggest problem in our political system: politicians who aren't accountable to the people they represent. In the aftermath of the 2016 election, a group of political novices started organizing, and by 2018, grew into a grassroots powerhouse of 6,500 volunteers who, against all odds, got a constitutional amendment proposal on the ballot and passed to establish the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, ending gerrymandering of Michigan legislative districts. Now, Voters Not Politicians is the premier democracy reform organization in Michigan and is a powerful leader in setting the blueprint for democracy reform across our country. Plate donations can be made via cash or check during worship services or at any time via our online giving portal. Ushers will come forth to receive the offering with love and gratitude.
This is a prayer for the morning by Audette Fulbright Fulson. Did you rise this morning broken and hung over with weariness and pain and rage, tattered from waving too long in a brutal wind? Get up, child. Pull your bones upright. Gather your skin and muscle into a patch of sun. Draw a breath deep into your lungs. You will need it, for another day calls to you. I know your ache. I know you wish the work were done, and you, with everyone you have ever loved, were on a distant shore, safe and unafraid. But remember this: tired as you are not alone. Here, and here also, there are others weeping and rising and gathering their courage. You belong to them and they to you. And together, we will break through and bend the arc of justice all the way down into our lives. We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. These sorrows are shared with us this morning. From Alyssa Trary, we are losing our twins this week at 8 weeks. And from Crystal Berner, she's searching for a new job after being told her position at OU would not be renewed. Those are heavy sorrows, and we hold them. We remember those experiencing losses and those facing health challenges. We pray for those resisting injustice. We pray for all those affected by war, by hatred and violence. We pray for peace. Even when the cares of the world weigh on us, may we find joy in our connections with each other and in the pleasures that life holds. Let us take care of one another and ourselves in all the ways we can. Let us make this a safe and welcoming place for all. Let's take a moment of silence now as we hold each other in our hearts with all our joys and all our sorrows, whether spoken or unspoken. Now let's join in singing From You I Receive.
I When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, the sea we must wade. We braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what's just isn't always justice. And yet, the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow, we do it. Somehow, we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions. And so we lift our gaze, not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. That forever we'll be tied together, victorious. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. This is the era of redemption. We feared at its inception, we did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour. But within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe, we now assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation and become the future. The new dawn balloons as we free it, for there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for having me here, for inviting me to discuss the work of the Detroit Justice Center on this good day. Dr. King once famously said, the most segregated hour in America is at 11 a.m. on Sunday. So thank you so much for inviting me in. Thank you to Izzy, Mary, Betty for all the work that you've done in getting here to discuss my work. I am a community legal advocate at the Detroit Justice Center, and what that means is that I work to democratize the law, to demystify the law, by talking about it, by educating people on it, and making it a little less scary and a little less daunting. So I'm gonna discuss kind of what we do at the Detroit Justice Center and what we would like from y'all as well. So that's us. We're working to create more just cities. And what does that look like? We are an abolitionist, community-based law firm. We do not believe that the way to safety and beautiful worlds is through prisons and over-policing. We have a three-pronged approach to that. What does that look like? How are we working to end incarceration? How? So our three-pronged approach is defense, offense, and most importantly, dreaming. Okay, next one. So the slide's a little messy. Our legal services and advocacy practice is our defense prong. And what that looks like is keeping people out of jail for lower level offenses. We don't believe that people should be incarcerated, especially for traffic offenses. In Michigan, at any given time, 55 to 75% of people that are incarcerated are there pre-trial, pre-conviction, and most of those are for traffic offenses. And that then creates a cycle of incarceration. It creates a cycle of poverty. It creates a cycle of lost livelihoods and broken families. And how we have come to this work of working, especially in traffic and family law, our founding ED, Amanda Alexander, years ago when she was a practicing attorney, she had a client who had some troubles and had lost custody of her children to the state. But the judgment was that, well, if you take care of these things and you go to these classes and you do all of this, your children can come back home to you. So she did all of that. The judge looked at all that, okay, yeah, but she still had traffic violations. And the judge said, well, I can't give you your kids back because you haven't taken care of these traffic tickets, and you'll just end up back in jail. So she continued to lose access to her children because she could not afford to pay for traffic violations. And we know in Michigan, our insurance is a little bit higher than a lot of places. So that's already one barrier, right? Traffic tickets can prevent you from experiencing the fullness of life. And then we go into housing court and other aspects of family law. We try to keep people in their homes. We try to keep people in their homes where they can be safe. We do like to sue the bad landlords. So people have a safe home with dignity and respect. Also, our legal services and advocacy practice has worked with the Secretary of State over the past 4 years to help restore 10,000 licenses to people who've had their licenses suspended and revoked. It has been an ongoing, daunting process, and our attorneys and paralegals have traveled throughout the state, including to correctional facilities where people know that they'll be coming home within 6 months. They can come home with a driver's license. Next slide, please. Our economic and equity practice. So this is our offense, right? We talked about what we're doing in terms of defense. What does offense look like? What are we doing offensively to help create this better world that we want to be a part of? We work to help people create cooperative businesses where they can be member-owned, employee-owned. Instead of just the LLC, we do help folks create LLCs, especially folks who are returning home from incarceration. And we're spearheading efforts for permanent affordable housing, like actual affordable housing where people can become homeowners in community with each other. Our economic equity practice relies on the idea that safety does not come from over-policing. It comes from resources and opportunities. A lot of times when you think of the safest places that you can think of, the safest places you've been, we're not generally thinking of oh, I live across the street from a jail, I'm so safe. Or there's so many police around all the time, that must be a very safe place. It's rather the opposite. The resources and the opportunities and each other, we are what keep us safe. Next slide. So our dreaming prong. This, I said, is the most important piece of what we do. We do our work with the belief that we're right and that it can be done. We do it with joy and optimism, and we're constantly tapping into our most radical dreams. And one of those dreams, our Divest Invest group, dares to see a world without jails. They work with local leaders to ask, what if we took this money out of policing and what if we invested it in community? What if we looked at what true mental health resources can look like? What if we put that energy and that time and that money in actually healing the parts that we know are broken instead of continuing to do what we know isn't working? So that's our Divest Invest group. And our next, our restorative justice practice. Restorative justice is not a new way of looking at justice or what happens when harm is done. It's actually an old way. We take from indigenous practices from all over the world throughout the history of time, where an important aspect is, why can't we center the person who was harmed? Our current legal system, we know we center the person who's on trial. That's what we call it. When we talk about like the big trials, we always call it the name of the person who's on trial. All the time and money and resources goes into punishing that person, where when someone is harmed, they're left behind. There's no resources for them. There's nothing for them in their healing. All we offer is retribution, punitive punishment for the other party, but there's not any efforts towards real healing. Our restorative justice network, we've had 7 cohorts of circle keeping training, where we are training folks into how to really, really employ these methods. We've worked on a bill that is in the state legislature right now for implementing actual restorative justice practices in schools, where we are not immediately jumping to punishing children when something goes wrong, because we know a lot of times when something is going wrong with children, there's more to that story. How do we dig into that story? How do we really, really help all of those students? And so in our restorative justice network, a lot of those practices are also being used in some Michigan correctional facilities. If you spend time with folks who've been incarcerated for a long time, they'll tell you about the things that they've learned by participating in actual restorative justice. What does that look like for them and for those that have been harmed? So that's what we're dreaming of, right? We're dreaming of not perfection, but wholeness and healing, and just what we can do better, right? Okay, next. Allies. The thing about allies and co-conspirators, and what else do we have? Neighbors and supporters and accomplices, where we're all joining in together for the mission, where we believe that we're gonna make this place better. We're gonna be better friends and neighbors, right? And so how do we do that? How do we support each other? And what do we ask for in that from the Detroit Justice Center? And especially now, especially at this time in the world. Alex Preddy, his last words were, "Are you okay?" before he was murdered by the federal government's ICE fellows. Are you okay? He was checking in with his neighbor. And that's what we are asking for all of us to check in with each other. We want y'all to check in with us. And for the next few slides, I want to be clear, being an ally is not about white saviors. That's not what we're doing. Eradicating the inequalities that come with racism, it's not about white people, but it involves white people. And we want to be very clear and very explicit with that. Our next slide, please. The very first person that was hanged in this country for treason, we don't have to raise hands. The next slide. Right here down in the middle, John Brown, a white man. A white man was the first person hanged in this country for treason because he dared believe that people should not be enslaved. He fought for that multiple times. He rested his whole life on the idea that people should not be enslaved. And he was murdered for it, for his raid on Harper's Ferry. And so were two of his sons and his other co-conspirators who believed that this world should exist without that kind of inequality. Next slide. So that little dot down there is Marshall, Michigan. Has anybody ever been to Marshall, Michigan? Okay, lots of people have been to Marshall, Michigan. So back in the 1840s, this gentleman here, this is Adam Crosswhite. He and his family were enslaved in Kentucky. They escaped slavery through the Underground Railroad using the network of allies and accomplices of the Underground Railroad, and he made it and settled his family in Marshall, Michigan. A couple years later, those folks from Kentucky came up to get him and his family and returned them to Kentucky to slavery. The good folks of Marshall, Michigan said, no, this man is a part of our community. This family is a part of our community. You can't just take him. And so what they did, the folks of Marshall actually arrested the Kentucky enslavers, and they put them on trial and for kidnapping and disturbance of the peace. And while that was happening, Adam Crosswhite and his family escaped to Canada. Then the trial was ultimately dismissed of the Kentuckians, and the Kentucky slave owners said, you know what, fine, y'all gotta pay me my money for my property, for this family, these slaves, y'all have to pay me for it. Next slide, please. So these are some of the folks of Marshall, Michigan. They said, fine. They got together and they paid the $4,800, which is about $140,000 today. The people from that town got together and they paid the ransom money. They paid the money so that those Kentucky folks would go back to Kentucky and not come back. And then after emancipation, Adam Crosswhite and his family came right back to Marshall and lived out the rest of their lives. A good portion of that $4,800 was paid for by this gentleman. That's Zachariah Chandler, abolitionist. Y'all ever been to Chandler Park on the east side of Detroit? It is named after this abolitionist man, Zachariah Chandler, who paid the bulk of that $4,800 to make sure that family remained free. Accomplices, allies, co-conspirators. People have put their lives on the line and they put their money on the line as well. Next slide. So in less dire, more modern times, some of the co-conspirators and allies that we know of, we have Bernie Sanders here as a young man at a sit-in protest. We have Gloria Steinem, feminist founder of Ms. Magazine with Dorothy Pittman Hughes there. Up top, Mr. Rogers, who dared soak his feet in the same water as a black man, as the mailman. Mr. Rogers got death threats for that. And then one of our newer friends, Miss Rachel here with her friend Rahaf, who saw her whole family murdered in Gaza. And if you pay attention, everybody knows Miss Rachel, if you pay attention, she's been doing a lot speaking out about the injustices, not just in Gaza and Sudan and the Congo, but also here as well. She put her career on the line, her money and her life on the line to do what she believed was right as an ally. Next slide. This is one of my favorite quotes. I use it quite often from the brilliant, brilliant poet Gwendolyn Brooks. We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. We really, really are in this together. We truly are. And at DJC, we're constantly relying on our community to join us so we can be better for our community. The world has been such a beautiful, beautiful place when we're working together for these like common shared goals. Next slide. So some of the ways that y'all can join and support us, we're always looking for volunteers of all skills. We recently had a call out for content creators. We've had volunteer attorneys, volunteer accountants, volunteer photographers for some of our events. We love our volunteers, and we have ongoing volunteers as well that come into our office weekly. And some will work remotely as well. Interns and externs, if y'all know of any wonderful college students or law students, we do have interns who are in undergrad, grad school, and law school, because not all of our interns are going to be attorneys. We've had social work interns, business interns, all kinds of interns. Our externs are year-round, but our summer intern applications will be out within the next couple weeks. They do get paid, and it's a really, really fun summer. We try to make it fun and very knowledgeable. They're busy. And then again, any attorneys who want to offer pro bono legal services. Right now we have a pretty steady rotation of that too, but we could always use more. We are in a legal desert in Detroit when it comes to community-based movement lawyering. Next slide. And that's it. These are just ways that y'all can join us. Y'all can ask me questions. I've got a couple colleagues here as well who've joined us. And this is an ongoing thing. We're constantly just asking for all kinds of support. And not just support, but join us when we're doing education campaigns. If you want to be a part of our newsletter, if you just want to learn more, we love that too. Like that's great. I can give off a whole bunch of other depressing statistics. But we like it when those statistics that sound so dire, we can show the other end of that. We can show the other side of that, like, yeah, so much of this bad stuff is happening. We're talking about the number of people that are incarcerated, pre-trial, pre-conviction for traffic and for these things, but we are making inroads to making it better, and we're so happy and so grateful to be doing this work, and I'm so grateful to be able to share it with y'all on this good day. Thank y'all so much.
All right, with that as inspiration, I invite everyone to rise in body or in spirit and to join in singing hymn 1017, again in the Teal Book, Building a New Way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
We extinguish our flame with these words. We feared at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour. But within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while we once asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Become the future. The new dawn balloons as we free it, but there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. And I just realized I read the last page of the previous reading. This sounded really familiar, didn't it? Okay, now let's extinguish the chalice flame. Spirit of life and love, dear God of all nations, there is so much work to do. We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy. Help us hold fast to our vision of what can be. May we see the hope in our history and find the courage and the voice to work for that constant rebirth of freedom and justice. That is our dream. Amen.
May we live our lives fully and creatively so that we may be a blessing to ourselves, to each other, and to all those whose lives we touch.